Hello, welcome back to my channel and to today's video where I am going to be sharing what's new in my wardrobe for summer. Right, so I'm going to start off with these, which are Birkenstock Arizona EVAs. Now, I am a big fan of Birkenstock Arizonas. I have 3 pairs of them in the suede option, and I absolutely love them, wear them to death, find them incredibly comfortable. However, I did want something that was going to be a little bit more practical for getting wet. So I would say these are a really good option as like a beach sandal or a pool slide, something which you can slide your feet into if your feet are wet and or sandy. So they're kind of practical with that regard. Now, I actually bought these because I made an error last year, as you may have seen in my worst purchases of 2024 video, of buying Crocs last year. I'm not a lover of Crocs, but I wanted something that I could do the gardening in, and I have bought these probably not in the most practical colour for gardening, but I've bought them just to give them a try. Now, I was a little bit dubious with regards to comfort because I don't get on with all Birkenstocks. For example, the oiled leather styles, for me, they're just a little bit too hard, a little bit too stiff. And these, even though they are a thermoplastic polymer, they're very, very, very lightweight. I can't stress that enough. But they are a little bit more rigid, certainly in comparison to the suede. That said, I've worn them a few times already just to give them a sort of test drive. I haven't worn them for any substantial periods of time, maybe like a couple of hours at most. And I don't think, whilst I find that they're comfortable, I don't think they would be the kind of shoe that I would do substantial amounts of walking in. So we're talking if you're doing a city break or a theme park or something like that, something with a lot of steps, a Birkenstock wouldn't always be the footwear that I would go for. I would always opt for a trainer in any of those kind of circumstances with lots of walking. However, just for general summer wear, for gardening, again, like I said, beach, pool, these are an absolute yes from me. Right, my next item is this silk t-shirt dress from Arket. And this, I think, is a prime example of what Arket does really, really well. And that is create elevated but basic minimal pieces which are just really easy to integrate with your existing wardrobe, really easy to style up or to style down. And that is sort of one element that I really look for when I'm choosing pieces to add to my wardrobe, and that is versatility. So as I've mentioned, it is silk, it's 100% silk. This is the navy colourway. I remember this being brought out in black last year and it sold out so quickly. I wasn't even able to get my hands on one, which says something because I am online every day, multiple times a day. So I will often get in there first when I see something that I really like. But I saw it released again this year in the navy colourway and I thought, you know what? I've got a lot of black already. I've even got some more on the rail. Maybe I'll be a little bit different and I'll go for navy. Navy, I think, is equally as versatile as black. You can add in tan accessories, white, cream, neutrals, all that kind of stuff. So I think there isn't anything particularly limiting about the navy. It's just personal preference. I find black such an easy colour, which is why that probably would have been my first choice if they'd have released that colour again this year. Right, next up is this woven brown bag from Zara. Now, I have quite a thing for this kind of natural texture when it comes to bags, in particular for the spring summer seasons, but definitely for summer. It's more than likely the kind of texture or the sort of bag option that I will wear every single day throughout the summer months. Now, one thing that I felt I was missing from my wardrobe when I did a stock take was a dark brown sort of natural texture bag like this. So the bag is a pretty decent size. It would make an excellent beach bag or pool bag. I feel like bags that sort of look like this in this sort of tote style, often made out of this woven sort of paper raffia or a basket bag type, are normally designed to be just that, beach bags and pool bags. So it's got 2 different sets of straps. It has these longer ones which have a really decent drop to them, so they make a perfect shoulder bag sort of height. And then it has these smaller ones which are perfect for just sort of handheld carrying. Now there's no closure on the bag, which definitely sort of leans it towards more of a beach bag vibe, but it does have a little inner pouch which has got a little popper so you can attach it onto the strap, or you could just literally shove it right down at the bottom of the bag so you could put any valuables in there. The only thing, because this bag was $69.99, which I think for Zara is more at the higher end of the price scale, considering that the majority of this is made of paper. The only thing that sort of lets this down for me is the straps and the trimmings. They're actually not leather, and I just feel like for $69.99 you could have probably made those small trimmings out of leather, because Zara are using a little bit more leather when it comes to their footwear and accessories. So for 70 quid, I just think that they could have added in maybe some real leather. I would have even paid a little bit more just for the sake of having real leather, because I find it lasts longer. But nonetheless, I do really love the bag, and I know that I have already had quite a lot of wear out of it so far, and we're not even technically in summer yet. And I know that I will continue to. Right, next up, this is the H&M black halter dress that I wore in my most recent What I Wore video. It was what I wore in May, sort of early summer outfits or late spring, early summer outfits. And I absolutely love this dress. It's been a long time since I've bought or found a dress that I feel this passionately about. But this dress just ticks so many boxes, and it's so incredibly affordable as well. So first of all, I will just flag the fabric. It's 86% viscose, but it does have quite a weight to it. So whilst it's quite a minimal dress in terms of, like, it's a halter style, so there's no fabric on the back, obviously completely sleeveless, so that might sort of signify it being a summer dress. I don't know if maybe the fabric might be a bit too heavy for like a really hot day, but it's definitely something that I will get continued wear out of throughout the summer months at least. Right, now there is just one thing that I will flag about this dress, because I have had to do a little bit of a minor DIY on the back. So because of the halter style, it's got this strap which attaches it or sort of fixes together, fastens together at the neck. I've actually had to shorten that. So I took off the buttons, I just picked those off. I moved them, I cut the strap, and I basically just shortened it by about 1.5 inches. I don't know if this might be because I have quite a small bust, and so therefore the dress, the sort of front paneling section of the dress wasn't being brought out to where maybe it should be. And you know, if you know what I mean. Doing a terrible job of explaining this, but to be honest with you, there are so many different body shapes and varieties of bodies. I think it's quite difficult for one brand to try and nail like one piece of clothing even that's going to suit every single body shape. So I'm okay if I find something that I really like. I'm okay with doing a little bit of a DIY. Right, next up is this jumpsuit from COS. Now I was a bit dubious about this when it first arrived, and even when I selected it online, I was like, I don't know if this is maybe a little bit too edgy for me, because whilst I love COS for their sort of muted tones most of the time and their minimal aesthetics, sometimes some of their pieces can be quite edgy, and I feel like I don't necessarily have that edge to me where I can get away with that. I feel like that's definitely more of like a city thing, and I know it shouldn't necessarily matter, like your style is your style, but for me, I would just not sort of feel comfortable wearing some of their more edgier items. However, I tried this on and I did change my mind once I tried it on. So there's a few sort of style features on the jumpsuit which I very much appreciate. The first of which is pockets. Jumpsuits, dresses, skirts, anything that has a pocket, yes. Secondly, it has a much sort of wider leg fit to it, and I think that wider leg jumpsuits are maybe not so frequently seen amongst high street brands, but I think that's one thing that again COS does quite well. They kind of fit into the high street as one of those brands that can fill in the gaps. So you can often find things at cost that you wouldn't find anywhere else. And again, it has that versatility to it. So it's very sort of minimal in its design, but it's got some really sort of, I don't know, unique, slightly more designer elements to the design, just little details that they do, the way they cut the fabric, the way they add little tucks here and there, just the overall shape of it. There's just little bits which I think, I don't know, they just make it, they sort of stand out from the crowd, if that makes sense. Right, moving on, and these sandals are actually a really good example of the sort of footwear that I would use to dress up the COS jumpsuit that I was just talking about, or even the H&M dress, or actually even the Arquette dress. If I'm talking about like dressing something up, this is sort of an example of the sort of footwear that I would be referring to for myself anyway. So these are from Zara. And the first thing I will say is that Zara are having a killer season at the moment in general, but in particular when it comes to their footwear and their accessories. But footwear for me has really stood out this season. They've got some really strong sandals. And I'm not ashamed to say that I've bought quite a few pairs. I think I've bought about 5 pairs this season. I absolutely love them. Now, these have a gold detail on them. So I do actually have another pair from Zara, which have like a little gold bobble on the toe that I bought last year. I absolutely loved those. But I saw these and I thought, oh, these just kind of have like a real designer look to them. And yet they're just so affordable. And if there's one thing I missed about Zara when I sort of had my 5-year break from shopping at Zara, if there was one thing that I really missed, it's their footwear. And as I've said, we've all got different feet, but there's something about Zara footwear that my feet have always enjoyed. We just mesh well. The sizing fits me perfectly, just the fit, the width of the shoes, because I have quite long, narrow feet, and I find that Zara kind of cater for that. And I just find them comfortable. I've never had an issue with a pair of Zara shoes. Right, finally, I have a mix of items and they're all bottoms from H&M. So I'm going to start off with the shorts first, but I've got some crop trousers, taper trousers and straight leg trousers also to come, but I've sort of lumped them all together at the end. So I'm going to start off with these drawstring waist shorts. They're made from a linen blend fabric. I believe it is 30% linen, 70% viscose. So unlike 100% linen, and I've mentioned this before, the fabric feels a little bit softer because viscose is more of like a silky feel to it. So it definitely softens linen when they're blended together. It also helps with washing and it helps with creasing. So there are some benefits. And these are a blue and white stripe. And I just felt like that was something that I was sort of missing in my wardrobe. I kind of like a stripe, especially when you're pairing it with maybe just a white linen shirt on top or a vest or a t-shirt. They're a really easy throw-on piece that you can just pair with other minimal items, which is why this kind of thing is always a really good shout for me adding into my wardrobe, because it's going to blend quite seamlessly. It's not going to be the sort of thing that I'm like, ugh, I can't match anything with this. It's just another item which is going to be very, very versatile for me. Now, the only problem I might have with these is that I might not have a lot of wear out of these this year in particular, because I am supposed to be keeping my legs covered because I'm at the start of, and I just timed this really badly. It's my own fault. I don't know what I was thinking, but I have started a course of laser hair removal and my legs are one of the treatment areas. So technically I'm supposed to be keeping those covered from the sun, which is where the trousers will come into it in a moment. But I also didn't want to pass up on these, which is why I bought them. But they are really nice shorts. Perhaps when it's a little bit warmer outside and I'm just sitting inside, these will also be just a nice sort of little pair of shorts I can wear around the house. Right, the next style is a pair of, again, they're drawstring waist with a little tie on them, but these are a tapered linen blend trouser. So these are the same fabric. They're again 70% viscose and 30% linen. So they've got that same fluid movement to them, less creasing, softer feel to the fabric, really nice and lightweight as well. So very, very good sort of practical fabric for summer when it is warmer. And for me, as I've just mentioned, a good option when it comes to a summer trouser, because they're going to keep me cool but keep my skin covered whilst I'm having my laser hair removal. Now there's just one issue with these I want to flag, and this is an issue with regards to high street brands in general. H&M do this quite a lot, and that is consistency with their sizing and to a degree their colours. So this colour is classed as brown online. I think it's more of like a reddy brown, so I'd call it more of like a rust colour, like a dark, deep rust. However, I did buy these exact trousers which have a slightly tapered leg toward the bottom. I did buy them in white and black also, because I thought they're just going to be a really good sort of solid option for me for summer. However, both the black and the white were a good, like 1, maybe even 2 inches shorter, and they were the same pair of trousers in the same size, but like 1 or 2 inches shorter than this colour. So I returned those because I already have issues as it is when it comes to buying high street trousers. And funnily enough, H&M is normally a brand that I would avoid at all costs if it came to sort of a long trouser or a full length trouser, because most of the time on me they would not be full length, they would be cropped. So yeah, I would normally avoid them. However, a few of you guys actually recommended H&M's trousers with the drawstring waist, the linen blend, to me this season, because they seem to have a little bit of added extra length, just not in all the colourways. Right, now I've just picked these up off the rail because these are actually my next style, and this is another example of the difference of the same pair of trousers but in 2 different colours and the length difference, which I will show you guys in a minute. But this next style is classed as a straight leg. Again, linen blend, so 70% viscose, 30% linen, and I got these in a couple of colours, and I do believe I have already worn these, and I shared those outfits in the recent What I Wore in May video, so you guys may have already seen these. So exactly the same fabric, elasticated waist, drawstring, so they're quite a casual trouser, but you can sort of dress them up a little bit, elevate them a bit with a blazer, but they are just, I think for me, just the perfect day-to-day pair of trousers for the warmer seasons. So if I just try and line up the hem lines and then hold up this leg, this is going to be a bit cack-handed, but I'm going to share in this. I have got them lined up. Look at that! That is the difference. These are the exact same pair of trousers in the same size, but the beige ones are like 2 inches longer than the cream. Now, fortunately for me, this sort of off-white creamy colour, I actually think this is classed as white, they are long enough. And I think that is obviously a beauty of an elasticated waistband, as I always harp on about it, is comfort. But another bonus is that you can change where they sit. So you can pull them up if you want them to be a bit higher waisted, and you can cinch the waist because they're elasticated. Or if, like me, you have longer legs, you can shimmy them down a little bit and have them a little bit more sort of lower slung on the hips, and that gives you a little bit of extra length. But already these were long enough for me, so these neutral colours definitely have got extra length on them. So if you're petite, these might not be the best option for you. However, the next pair will. So these are the cropped version, and they are actually a reasonable cropped length on me, because as I was saying, with H&M and other high street brands that don't necessarily have the length I need in trousers, a normal length trouser, a full length trouser on me would end up cropped, and then if it were a deliberately cropped trouser, they would be like shorts. They would be very, very cropped, but these are just the perfect length for where I would want them to be. And again, the same sort of points apply with regards to styling these as all the rest of the trousers and the shorts that I kind of just shared with you guys. They are the kind of thing that are just really easy to pair with loads of existing items that I've got in my wardrobe: t-shirts, vests, oversized linen shirts. They're just that kind of perfect summery piece that has a little bit of nice movement to it. They're comfortable for wearing in the heat, but they're also quite minimal and therefore just an easy throw-on piece to give you no stress having to decide on an outfit to wear. Right, there we go. Those were a few new items that I have added to my wardrobe for the summer season. Just a reminder that any links, any size information, any information regarding items that I've used to sort of style outfits together in the cutaways, that can all be found down below in the description box. Obviously, if you've got any questions that I haven't sort of asked in the description box, then please do pop those in a comment and I will get back to you. I also just wanted to flag one more thing, and that is my LTK account, or my LTK profile page, whatever we're supposed to call it. You do not have to be signed up to LTK, also known as Like to Know It. You do not have to input in your email or anything like that. It's just a link that you can click on, and there you will find all of my outfits. You'll even find outfits that I might not post on social media, or maybe they go on Instagram stories or TikTok or wherever. So you can find a whole plethora of things over there, along with just curated lists of things that are maybe new in certain brands that I like. Everything can be found over there. So if you want to head over, I've got a link down below in the description box, and there are links to that profile page all across my socials as well. But for now, that is it from me. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time.